Hi, it's officially Virgo season, and you know what that means. Time to celebrate my birthday. I actually will be out of town for my birthday at a convention, so I'm pre-recording some videos in advance to schedule while I'm away. This one counts as my official birthday special, but I think it will come a little early. My birthday is August 29th. Yes, this is very important. I'm turning 19, and I'm just really excited to share it with you guys. I mean, I started this channel when I was 27, and now I'm turning 32. That's just actually kind of crazy. Actually, I don't know if I should joke about my age too much. YouTube seems pretty sensitive to that sort of thing lately. Anyways, it's just a birthday tradition around here to do a ranking video to celebrate. And I've been doing this for so long that I've just kind of ran out of proper birthday themes. I've done birthday Barbies. I've done Barbies that came out the year I was born. I've ranked my childhood dolls. I was kind of at a loss. So I figured, let me just do a video I've been wanting to do for a while. Let me be self-indulgent. It's my 21st birthday after all. So one thing about me is that I love mermaids. This has been a constant theme throughout my entire life, ever since I was really little. I can actually pinpoint the exact moment in my childhood that it began. It's like a really random core memory, but I remember very vividly when I was around 4 years old, my mom took me with her to go to a friend's house, and that friend had a big tapestry on her wall of the John William Waterhouse painting, A Mermaid, and I just thought it was the most beautiful, gorgeous, stunning thing I've ever seen. And I remember asking my mom, who is this woman, this gorgeous, beautiful woman? She told me it was a mermaid, and from that point on, I decided my entire childhood should revolve around mermaids, and it kind of did. My love for mermaids was very well known. All my relatives would make a note to buy me, anything mermaid related. I had an entire collection of just mermaid knickknacks and obviously mermaid dolls. And fun fact, my love of mermaids actually extended to a childhood love of manatees. I was very obsessed with manatees by extension, to the point that for my 8th birthday, I decided it would be manatee themed. My birthday cake was custom, and it did not say happy birthday. No, it had a picture of a manatee on it, and it said, Save the Manatees. I made my guests donate to the Save the Manatee Foundation in lieu of gifts, and my aunt actually adopted me a manatee as a gift. You know, through one of those programs where you adopt an animal, you send money every month, and they give you little updates on its life. My manatee was a very large male manatee named Brutus. I got curious, and I looked him up, and he is actually still alive and kicking as of just a few months ago, which is very heartwarming. I wish you well, Brutus. Is any of this relevant to the video? Not entirely, but it's my birthday, so you get to listen to my tidbits. The big point being, I love mermaids, I love dolls, I love Barbie, so we're ranking all the Mermaid Barbies today. Though, quick aside, perhaps not all the Mermaid Barbies, most of them, for sure. We'll get there when we get there. But as I always do, I want to shout out barbieguide.socialgree.com for being an incredible and easy to navigate database of Barbie releases. I literally could not make these ranking videos without you. Now, usually when I rank Barbies, I prefer to keep these rankings condensed to Barbie specifically, just for simplicity's sake. But there are actually not a ton of Mermaid Barbie releases, technically. There are, holiday or birthday Barbies. So I'm going to be including some of her friends here too. There's room for everybody. All right, I've definitely talked enough, so I'm not going to give the tiers any special names this time. It's just good old SABCND. So let's get into it. The very first Mermaid Barbie, our progenitor, didn't actually happen until 1991, because it wasn't until then that Barbie really touched on fantasy concepts. All throughout the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, Barbie was very committed to being somewhat realistic, extremely aspirational, but always with some sort of grounding in reality. The 80s started to get a lot more whimsical, but it wasn't until the 90s that there was a pretty hard turning point, and we got all the princesses and the fairies and the mermaids that are quintessential to the Barbie brand now. So for this doll to be there at ground zero, I feel like she's a legend. I think she's an icon. There's kind of an ongoing debate in the mermaid doll community on whether it's better for a mermaid doll to have a fully plastic molded on tail, or if it's better for them to have a fabric tail that's essentially like an outfit piece. You'll see examples of both. My expert opinion is that it depends. I think a true mermaid connoisseur will open their hearts to both possibilities and see the strengths in both. So the fabric tail is not a detriment to me. I really do think she's just so gorgeous. Like, ideal 90s Barbie to me. I know that fabric is crinkly, so crinkly, but she's just so pretty. I'm gonna have to be really nitpicky in this video. I already know it because usually my immediate instinct is just to put all the mermaids in S tier. I think this Barbie embodies such like a classic Barbie beauty. She's the gold standard. She gives everything that she needs to give. But I do think there are some coming up like later that are significantly better. So I'm going to put her into A tier. Oh, fun fact, there's actually a variant of this doll that is slightly more rare, where she's tanner and has like a lighter blue color scheme. I actually like her slightly more, but I think she'd also be an A tier, so I really don't need to rank her separately. In 1993, we got Fountain Magic Barbie. This one is a little high concept. I love how pink she is. I love how pink she is, even down to the pink hair. I love the fluffy, puffy ball gown sleeves, but I do worry that perhaps she's trying a little too hard to outshine the 1991 Mermaid Barbie. I mean, all the sequins, the tulle overskirt, tulle overtail, I guess, the crown that sprays water, like, come on. You don't need all the gimmicks. A beautiful outfit will speak for itself. You don't need to force it, girl. I just feel like the mermaid tail and the fountain crown are wearing her and not the other way around, so I'll put her into B tier. Also from 1993, Magical Hair Mermaid Barbie, named for the fact that she had a color change hair gimmick. A lot of the mermaid dolls in the 90s and even moving forward were designed for water play or, taking it into bath with you. That's why a lot of them have these very, waterproof, crinkly cellophane outfits. Anyways, I think she's very interesting. It's always interesting to see Barbie in purple. I feel like that was a color that was mostly reserved for her friends, especially in this time period. But I also think she does a better job of elevating the mermaid concept without doing too much. She has a crown, she has a bolero, she has pearl embellishments, but they work for her. This is a mermaid with wealth and class, which we know is not always the case. I think I'll put her in A tier too. That feels right. Also in 1993, big year for mermaids. Mermaid Skipper and the Sea Twins. Skipper herself looks fine, not incredible, fine. The babies, however, look a mess. The babies are chopped, and I think Skipper deserves some of the blame for letting them out of the clamshell like that, so I'm putting them into C tier. Look, someone has to go there. We took a break in 1994, and then in 1995, Barbie gave us Sea Pearl Mermaid Barbie, who is pretty similar to the original Mermaid Barbie, but I think she does enough to set herself apart. She has this gorgeous crimped hair, the pearl detailing, a cute little sarong. Still not the best of the best, but I do think this is deserving of another A tier. Also, in 1995, Jewel Hair Mermaid Barbie, the diva, the icon, probably one of the most iconic Barbie releases ever, up there with like Totally Hair Barbie. And they have longer hair too, like a full 12 inches of beautiful, fluffy Kanekalon. Although, controversial opinion, I don't know if I've ever particularly vibed with Jewel Hair Mermaid Barbie, and I've agonized over this. I've spent many nights sweating and tossing and turning and contemplating why I don't love this doll, despite her being such an important part of mermaid history. And it is basically, in Mattel's eyes, the quintessential mermaid Barbie. And I honestly think it's the gold. I genuinely think I just don't like that she has a gold top and a gold tail. The color scheme in general, I just don't love it. I'm sorry, and I'm almost positive that's what it is because... Hold on. Jewel Hair Mermaid Barbie is a B tier. Feel free to burn me alive in the comments for that. But Jewel Hair Midge, oh my god, so beautiful. That deep blue tail with her red hair, it's everything to me. She is an S tier, easily. And Jewel Hair Teresa, gorge, beautiful. The jewel tones here work so well, especially with her, having darker hair. I can put her into S tier too for sure, because I love how the mermaid tails were executed on them. I love the shape of the outfits. I love the long hair. It really is just Barbie's color scheme that I don't like too much. I'm sorry, Barbie, your friends ate you up. In 1996, we got Bubbling Mermaid Barbie. I first ranked this doll when I ranked Barbies from 1996, and at the time, I remember I assumed her tail was like solid, hard plastic. It's not. It's actually very rubbery. You would squeeze it to make the bubbles come out of her head. This is actually the first example of a mermaid Barbie having a plastic tail rather than a fabric one, so that does make her a little more appealing in my mind. It's just the unfortunate fact that her design is a little bit on the safe side. Again, relying on these gimmicks. I think, given what's on the table, I need to see a little more than a pink bra and a seashell crown, So I'm putting her in... I don't know, C tier feels a little mean. I'll say B tier. It's a very soft B tier. We took a little break from mermaids for a while, but in 2000 there was Magical Mermaids Barbie and Chrissy. This one I actually had as a kid, so I might be a little biased. I always thought she was so beautiful though. She came with this big plastic clamshell that was also like a bed for baby Chrissy, who looks great, by the way, absolutely mogging those sea twins from earlier here. But I just think this Barbie looks so regal. She has a very interesting design to her top, rather than, the usual swimsuit bikini, It has flair, it has drama, it's so good. My one complaint though, and I remember this bothering me as a kid too, is that her tail is actually a very hard, solid plastic. So she's always stuck in that almost sitting position she's in. You can't really do anything with the tail, which is where I personally think plastic tails are just kind of a detriment when it comes to mermaid dolls. It just makes them look very rigid. I do think that keeps her just short of S tier, but she's a very, very excellent A tier. Enchanted Mermaid Barbie from 2001. So this is a collector's edition, which I fully understand is like a little hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby against some of these dolls. So I'm gonna try to keep it fair. I think she's very pretty. And I think the outfit is obviously quite intricate. You can tell a lot of work went into the design and all the little details. It's not wowing me. It's not activating any specific chemicals in my brain. I also think the headdress is just a little ridiculous, kind of veering on the edge of just looking silly. Maybe a little too quirky for me. I don't know. She's still objectively a good doll, so I'm just going to put her into A tier. Next, 2002 Mermaid Fantasy Barbie. Oh my god, you don't even know. You guys don't even know how much I love and adore and obsess over Mermaid Fantasy Barbie. This is the pinnacle of Barbie to me. This is the pinnacle of mermaid dolls. This is the pinnacle of existence. Really, she is my holy grail in the sense that she is an actual religious holy relic, and she should be instated as such. I worship the ground that this doll walks on, or I worship the water this doll floats in. We, as a society, as a species, as a collective, as a planet, we peaked when this doll first appeared on the shelves of a Toys R Us. And I don't know if we'll ever reach such heights again. I really don't. So it probably goes without saying, but I had this doll too. Her tail was also a rubbery plastic, but it was articulated at the knee. So she had this mechanism where she moved her tail if you squeezed her hips, which I truly do think is like the perfect way to execute a mermaid tail on a fashion doll. Like, truly, truly perfect. Obviously, she's going into S tier. Also, Christy, you already know. Everything about her is immensely perfect. She goes into S tier too. And 3 for 3, Kayla over here, she's joining her friends in S tier. Genuinely just some of the most perfect dolls ever released, and I'll stand by that. The Fairytopia Magical Mermaid Barbies from 2003. Also very beautiful. I'm not quite as enamored with them as I am with the Mermaid Fantasy dolls, but to be completely fair, there are very, very few dolls that I am as enamored with as I am with Mermaid Fantasy Barbie. As a whole, though, just very, very well done. Barbie and Kayla, I think, are perfect. No notes, they go into S tier too. Christy, it's not as if there's anything even like a little bit wrong with her. I just think I am learning that I just don't really like when mermaid dolls are predominantly gold or yellow. I guess that's just where I choose to be petty. So I'm going to put her into A tier. There's like a lot of random mermaid dolls within the Fairytopia assortment that may or may not even be Fairytopia dolls, but they're classified as such, so I'm just going to roll with it. So I'm going to go out of order here for just a moment to quickly go through them. For the record, their releases are from like 2003 to 2007-ish, and not really in order either, I'm starting to see. Oops. The official Mermaidia assortment from the Mermaidia movie with Nori, Marissa, and Shella. I do love Nori in the movie Mermaidia. She's an icon to me. But I've never really felt drawn to her doll, and I think it's the face for all of them. Really, I think the faces with the body art and the crazy hair, I like the color schemes for the most part, but once again, I just think they're doing a little too much. They're also on shorter bodies than usual, and I think that just gives them kind of odd proportions, especially for mermaids, so I'm just going to put these all three into B tier. Also, Elena herself, or Fairy to Mermaid Elena, though for the purpose of this video, I'll be judging how she looks as a mermaid. And the answer is fine. If a little bulky just due to that transforming gimmick. I don't mind like a molded on bodice here because the design itself is pretty enough that it's fine. It works. The thing is though, I've talked about this and have gotten absolutely crucified for it, but it is what it is. I've just never loved any of the Elena dolls because I've never really vibed with her face, her screening, or her hair. Every Elena doll just has these weird hair tendrils off the side of her face. They've just always bothered me. Yes, that's a personal gripe, but this is a very subjective ranking video, so and I'll put her into B tier. Oh, also the Sea Pixies. These were released a little after Fairytopia, but are considered Fairytopia adjacent because some of the dolls in the assortment were just re-released Fairytopia dolls, apparently. The gimmick of these was that they were both fairies and mermaids, or just a fairy, or just a mermaid. Up to you. I don't really care for these, though. I think they're just a little too wild looking, and also an instance where the fabric tails actually do look pretty cheap. There were a few Sea Pixie releases, including ones that had molded on mermaid tails, and they're all just like, they're kind of random. None of them really stand out though, so consider this one I'm ranking right now to represent the entire Sea Pixies line, and I'll just put her into C tier. Okay, back to the timeline. In 2004, there was the Princess Collection Mermaid Princess Barbie. The Princess Collection was a line of specifically fairy tale princesses, and I think it's pretty obvious who she's meant to resemble. She's pretty, though. We see a return to form with the fabric tails now. You know, green and purple, especially if it's like a very soft green and a very soft purple, is always going to be just a very top tier color scheme to me. Even if it's been sort of monopolized by a certain other mermaid, as she's a perfectly solid B tier to me. Gorgeous gowns, but also just kind of forgettable, just in the grand scheme of things. 2008, the Splash and Style mermaids. Another good example of how molded on bodices can look not bad. It really comes down to an attention to detail. Each mermaid having a different top too really helps. Are they going to like occupy a special place in my mind after this video? Probably not, but they're perfectly serviceable, well-designed mermaids. 7 out of 10. Would splash around in the bath with these girls. The pink and the purple ones go into B tier, but I think the blue one is the prettiest, so she goes into A tier. The color change mermaids from 2009, I think. These came in a pink version and a purple version. I think these are cute. And yeah, they do have fully molded on outfits, but I think mermaid dolls are an exception in the sense that as long as you give them a good, interesting, colorful design, it's mostly fine. I will always prefer a fabric top, always, but mermaids are a good opportunity to just cheat the system a little. I'll put these both into B tier. Next, in 2010, we got the release of Barbie in a Mermaid Tail, and with it, the transforming Merlia doll. So she could transform from a human to a mermaid. And the way this was executed was not great. I find that it's a pretty difficult thing to do correctly unless it's literally just slipping off a fabric tail so she has legs underneath. But no, this one chose to do it in a very, very roundabout way. So when she's in her mermaid form, it just looks kind of weird, not all the way there. So I'm putting her into D tier. I do have to judge the mermaidness, unfortunately. There were also dolls of her friends in the movie, Xylee and Kayla. These are obviously more full mermaid, but I kind of don't like them. The like tiered sculpting on their tails is very odd to me, and the fact that one of them has a midsection that's like a different color from her tail bothers me. I don't know. I think these could have been way better executed too, so I'm also going to put them both into D tier. 2011 is kind of a turning point. First, it's the beginning of the end when it comes to quality and execution in general, with some exceptions. And also, it's kind of the point where Mattel stops putting out specific releases for the most part when it comes to mermaids, unless they were like part of a movie. There's just all these really random mermaid releases with like 10 different recolors, and I was losing my mind a little bit trying to track down them all to make this into a nice consistent list. So I stopped doing that. From this point on, it is not a comprehensive list. I'm only ranking the mermaid dolls that give me something new or significant to talk about. Otherwise, we'd be here all day and we'd probably be bored too. In 2011, we got another color change hair mermaid, or mermaids, plural, but they're all sort of the same, like I said. This is definitely where you start to see the quality just kind of plummet. The painting, the detail work, even the hair, it's just really, really unimpressive. It should be a crime, punishable by law, to put out a mermaid doll with the hair this short. So she's going into D tier. 2012 was the release of Barbie in a Mermaid Tale 2, which came with a lot of mermaid dolls. The Merlia doll, again, was just kind of disappointing. This time her tail changed into like a surfboard. So in mermaid form, her tail just never looked quite right. So unfortunately, I am going to put her into D tier as well. Very disappointing. I do like the Mermaid Tale movies, by the way. I like them quite a bit. I just don't like the dolls very much. There were also a bunch of dolls of side characters from the movie, the mermaid ambassadors plus Barbie's rival. And even though these are obviously more cheaply executed than Merlia, I think they do the mermaidness a lot better. I appreciate that within the limitations they very obviously had, they did their best to give us 5 very distinct and interesting character designs. They played with colors, they gave them unique outfits and tail shapes. Everything is correct, I suppose. They just don't stand out all too well, so I'll put them all into B rank. 2012 also gave us another collector's edition Mermaid Barbie. This one... Oh, I know some people are going to get pretty mad at me for this, but I don't like when mermaid dolls use sequins to simulate scales, because I don't like sequins on dolls in general. I just don't. I know it's a natural thing to go to. They kind of sort of look like fish scales, I guess, but I just don't like it. I don't like how they look on dolls, and I don't think that's enough for me to say she's a bad doll at all, because she's not. I mean, look at her. She's beautiful. But it does prevent her from being an S tier doll in my book, so I'm going to put her into A tier. In 2013, we got these random bath time mermaid dolls. This is rough. This is how every Barbie ranking video goes, I swear. We have such a good time playing and laughing, and then we hit the mid-2010s, and it's Chop City. Everything starts going into the lower tiers, and what am I supposed to do? You know, it's a lazy design, it's bad execution, and you can't even use her being a bath toy as a defense, because the dolls from the 90s were bath toys too, and they were giving us so much more than this, so she goes into D tier. Also in 2013, though, there was the Color Magic Mermaid Barbie, which I think is a step above the other doll for sure. We have an articulated tail, a very, very ostentatious tail too. It's just, it needs a little more. We're lacking a certain je ne sais quoi, especially around the bodice. Like, I know I keep repeating myself, but if you're gonna mold on a bodice, it needs to have an interesting design, and this one doesn't, so she goes into C tier. In 2014, we get another mermaid movie, Barbie and the Pearl Princess. This one also came with a transforming doll, but this time she transformed from one mermaid into another mermaid, which is unique, certainly, but I think both mermaid looks suffer from just looking very obviously like an in-between, unfinished, not all the way there, and especially for a mermaid princess from a Barbie movie, I just need more. I need way more than this. So she goes into C tier. Another movie from 2014, Barbie and the Secret Door, also had a mermaid character, Romy. And she got a few dolls, but they're all very similar to each other. Anyways, she's cute. She's a cute girl, but my thoughts are pretty similar. I just need more. I need better execution. And if you're gonna do a molded on bodice, don't make it lumpy. Never make it lumpy. I have no idea why they would ever do that. She's going into C tier too. In 2015, there was the Mix and Match Mermaid Barbie, which is just sad to look at after looking at all those dolls from the 90s and the early 2000s. Boot, going into D tier. Then, starting in 2016, we see the launch of Barbie Dreamtopia, which is essentially how Mattel decided to sequester all of the fantasy Barbies and keep them entirely separate from the main brand. This came with quite a significant amount of Mermaid Barbie releases, but very few stand out. They definitely all start to just sort of blend together after a while. It's all the same absurdly colorful, juvenile, entirely plastic designs. So I'm not going to go through them all. I simply just do not have the patience to repeat the same criticisms over and over and over. I'm just going to put Dreamtopia as a whole into C tier. There are some good ones, like especially in the last 2 years, there are some good mermaids. Like the Odile that came out last year, very pretty, really pretty, but I just can't really single out many others, unfortunately. In 2017, we get another movie, Dolphin Magic, and with it, another transforming doll for the character Isla. And like a bunch of other transforming dolls, this one is yet again just really missing the mark by virtue of having her mermaid form look really awkward and weird. Which is a shame, because she's otherwise a very, very pretty doll, so I'm gonna put her into C tier. In 2019, there was another collector's doll, Mermaid Enchantress Barbie. Of the collector's edition dolls on this list, I think she's my favorite, which is weird. It's so weird. I never say that about a Barbie that came out after, like, 2015. But I guess I'm willing to give credit where credit is due, and I know I will be disagreed with, but it's my birthday. You can't say anything mean to me. I just really love her soft color scheme. I like the way they did the tail, the sequins. Yes, they're sequins, but they're very unobtrusive sequins. My only big complaint is the tail fin. It's just a little small, a little simple. And the fact it's only like these 2 very thin layers of netting make it look pretty cheap, especially compared to the other collector dolls. I think that keeps her from being an S tier doll for sure, but I think I can pretty safely put her into A rank. Skipping more Dreamtopia mermaids, we get a line of color reveal mermaid Barbies starting in 2020. And there were a few different waves, but my opinions on them kind of remain the same. The color reveal line in general is just a gimmick. It's a big gimmick. That's all it ever was, especially at this point in time. It was not interested in delivering like fully realized, well-designed dolls, and it shows. These are just so supremely subpar in every single way. Even the faces are boring. Like, why are mermaids not allowed to have glamorous faces? It's almost off-putting how boring they are. So yeah, these go into D tier. In 2022, we got the release of another movie, Barbie Mermaid Power. And I think this was kind of a turnaround, given the last few releases, because they're not horrible. They actually make an effort to give us, interesting, unique mermaid designs. And even if there's not a lot of fabric happening, they utilize these molded on details well enough. Could they be a lot better? Absolutely. Like, I'm not gonna lie and say that they're great, but they're okay, which is an improvement. I do like Malibu Barbie's color scheme just a little more. On Brooklyn Barbie, purple and orange is just, no, that's not a color combination I like to mess with unless it's between the dates of October 1st and October 31st, but I do think they are both pretty solid B tier dolls. And those two are kind of the last significant mermaid dolls we got. And before you type anything, yes, I know there were some mermankins, but this video is for the girlies, for the Barbies, so I didn't include them. But here's my ranking. It's your turn now to tell me which placements you agree with, which ones you disagree with, but do be nice. It's my birthday. You have to acknowledge the objective correctness of my opinions, or else. But also tell me, what are the things you look for in a mermaid Barbie, or just a mermaid doll in general? Do you prefer plastic tails or fabric ones? What colors do you prefer? Whatever is on your mind, tell me about it down there in the comments. And when you're done with that, just be sure to like and subscribe for even more fashion doll content. And remember, keep it cute.